This is the Lost Faith monologue. Today's date is Monday, 14th of July, 2025. In the last monologue, I think, if I remember rightly, I was giving the baby boomers a bit of a hard time. And again, just to absolutely hammer this point home, at no point is it a blanket statement. I'm talking about the collective consciousness of that generation in the aggregate. Not every single soul is of that mindset, but collectively they are completely broken. They were the first generation to be brought up by the television, the God in the corner of the room. Everything that comes out of that box is truth. And every actor in that little box is the real deal. Even actors like politicians and celebrities, mouthpieces, influencers, doctors, scientists, whoever, all acting on television. You put a camera in front of somebody, they act. They behave the way they perceive the viewing audience wants them to behave. Baby boomers were brought up, indoctrinated into this television cult, and they can't live without the television. You go to the house, it's constantly on. Even if they're not watching it, it's just on, it's just there in the background. It's like company for them. On holiday, television. Wake up, television. Afternoon, television. Evening, television. But as I say, Generation X aren't far behind them, but there is something. The tiny amount of people who are awake are in the main Generation X, and I think we are like the calling card, the last chance saloon to get people to wake the fuck up and see what's happening in front of your eyes for what it is. The system of slavery, theft, coercion, threats of violence, run by immoral imbeciles and followed by immoral imbeciles. The cult that we live in. Nobody wants to be ostracised from the cult, and the constant trauma and destabilisation of normality. Every either small traumatic event, small pumped out the media, just something on a low level to make you feel fear. Place doesn't feel like what it used to. It's not a safe world to be anymore. So everything from a small media story pumped out to induce fear and cause trauma and destabilise the fabric of your comfortable reality. Everything from a small story to a huge traumatic event, like the 2001 false flag, to the 2020 top-down psyop. Huge traumatic events that affect the world and destabilise people's comfort, put them in a state of fear and anxiety. And when people are in a state of fear and anxiety, they actually want more control and they want more safety, and they're happy to give up rights or freedoms for that perceived safety. Because in the main, most people enjoy their comforts or safety. That's how they live their life, in a safe little bubble. The Generation X, where was I? Yeah, it feels to me like we are the last generation to wake people out of their slumber and actually start the process of reversing this absolute, insane, inverted, satanic slave system that we're born into, and everybody just accepts without question. Nobody actually questions the system. And yeah, it does feel like after Generation X, I mean, obviously there is people of the younger generations who are awake. As I theorised yesterday, or in the last monologue, I reckon there's 0.25% of people are fully awake, fully aware, and fully activated with skin in the game. And don't get me wrong, I've only just started actually putting voice to record and putting it out there. I don't know what I'm doing, I haven't got a clue. But I know what won't work. Doing fuck all. Plus, nobody wants to listen to you. Everybody's so mind controlled and traumatised, they can't deal with even talking about things that have happened in the past and trying to shed new light on things so you can see it for what it was. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to talk about whether the system's corrupt or whether it's childish voting and childish actually getting involved in, within the system, within the state, at whatever level, local level, councillor level, or, even just being a school governor. It's absolutely ridiculous and childish to think that you can improve anything. You can't. It's futile. So, a couple of anecdotes which I just want to get off my chest. These are the things that I hear in society from somebody, not on social media. I'll tell you when it's social media, obviously. This is someone's mouth to my ears, direct, first-hand anecdote. I was in the post office getting some cash and I was having a bit of a rant with the postmistress, as I often do, about the state of the world. She must love me coming in. Anyway, there was somebody in the queue behind me, and the subject of the government, the officials. I think this was on the topic of the Texas flood, which is actually a manipulated event, not through cloud seeding, but through some sort of other weather technology which they don't want you to know about. The idea that it was cloud seeded is misinformation, disinformation, to make you think that it might have been that. So people argue over the wrong topic. Was it natural or was it cloud seeding? It was neither. It was some sort of other type of weather modification, and it's been scientifically measured and shown that some sort of frequency technology, if I remember rightly, doesn't really matter. You don't need to know the scientific, jargon. You just need to obviously have done a bit of research and listened to some experts and looked at their data, their sources. You don't need to be able to regurgitate it word for word. I haven't got time to do that. So anyway, some sort of frequency technology manipulated the clouds and caused them to, have a deluge. Anyway, where was I? She brought up the Texas floods, and she said that, like the officials, all of your institutions knew that there was a flood risk. Because, I think there was a warning put out, and they did nothing about it. And again, they just want you to believe something here. They want you to believe that it was natural, and they were incompetent. But I hadn't heard about the Texas flood story at the time, so I had nothing to throw back to her. So I just said to her, I said, I can well imagine. I said, but we don't need to worry and talk about things which are so far afield. You just need to look on your own doorstep. The whole system is corrupt, and all politicians are morally bankrupt, and they steal our money. They take our money without our consent, and they threaten us with violence if we don't allow them to do it. That's called taxation. Taken without the owner's consent is called theft. And you just get this glazed look. It's too true for them to comprehend. It's like, does that even make sense? It's too true. It just causes cognitive dissonance, and it has to be laughed off, as if I'm joking, as if I'm being childish or something. Oh, he's funny, isn't he? No. It's too painful for you to accept. You can accept that they're incompetent on the other side of the Atlantic. You can accept that because it's far enough away from you. This is right in your face, in your pocket. They're pissing in your pocket, and you don't want to turn around and recognise it, deal with it. So, and it's too painful because you've got it in your head that taxation is a good thing and that we need it, and that it's a virtue, and that actually anybody who doesn't pay it is immoral and bad. You've got it in your head that that's the way around, that's your belief system. And this truth completely shatters that illusion. And if you just stopped and thought about it and actually processed it with logic, and you were mature and grown up about it, you'd accept it as true, and then you'd repeat it, and you'd start to put that into your dialogue with other people, your rhetoric. That's how you change the world. That's it. Simple as that. But anyway, so I said money taken without your consent is theft. I didn't consent, did you? And she laughed and went, no. So they think it's a joke. And I turned round and just clocked the lady behind and said, did you consent? And she went, I didn't consent. And she seemed to have this like frustration in her, which was, you could really sense some frustration. And I think this is what people are carrying. And they've got nowhere to offload it because they've got no voice. And nobody wants to listen to them, like what I've just explained earlier. And they're just carrying around this frustration and resentment. And it's like I unscrewed the cap and let a little bit off for her. But this is interesting. What she said was, well, what bothers me more is what they're spending it on. They're spending it on this, that, all of the wrong things. And, and she was on a sort of a local council level, complaining about that level of spending. And I just thought, you've completely missed the point. Right. It's theft, right? That's true. It's easy to establish that it's theft. It's like a racket. We'll steal your money and we'll protect you. That's a racket. So it's really easy to process if you're grown up about it. So somebody comes in your house and steals your money, right? Do you complain about what they're spending it on? Is that what you complain about? Or do you do something about it and protect yourself for the future? Or do you just sit with your door unlocked every night? You complain. I wouldn't mind being robbed if they just, donated it to cancer research. I wouldn't have a problem with that. It's childish, completely childish mentality because they're completely mind controlled. That's the belief system talking. So that the mind is completely owned and controlled by the government, the control of the mind, government, mind control. They've got them believing in the system. And as long as that belief system there's no chink in that armour, then they'll argue about all of the symptoms, and they'll never ever ever get to the root cause, because the root cause is their belief system, and they're so calcified, hardened, like a big pound pile of toothpaste left baking in the sun for 70 years. That's what their brains are like. So complaining about what the stolen money is being spent on, I don't care. I really do not care. I don't know why you would expect them to do anything but further their own interests and further their own agendas. And these are just the low level agendas and, cronyism and, the revolving door and giving their mates deals here and there, and then they know they'll be rewarded when they leave that public position with a nice cushy number, or whether it's just their own agenda, which is just their own mindset, which they're probably not even aware of because they're so fucked up, they're so mind controlled, they're so deluded and egotistical and psychopathic that they actually think that they can either do any good or that they're a leader and they are in a position of authority and they should be respected, and they are totally arrogant. Plus, the idea of mind control of the people. The reason the government, one of the reasons the government does this, or the string pullers, but the government will do this anyway through behavioural psychology, is because you can't have millions and billions of individual minds, all with their own ideas and all with their own voice. That would be too much freedom, too much democracy, if you want to use that term. That would be too much. You wouldn't be able to control and govern that type of society. You need everybody on a similar level and on a similar mindset, so they become like sheep. It's part of the system that they have to do this. It wouldn't work otherwise. I mean, I think only 51% of people voted in the last UK election. So, people are already buying out of the system. But anyway, yeah, that brief conversation in the post office, just complaining, whinging about the wrong things. So the next conversation or anecdote was, I was at a social event and I was kind of mingling with some people, and we got onto the topic of the global population size, and I can't recall exactly how we got onto that topic. And I just said something like, they tell us it's because the population's too large. Any opportunity to put something out there and test the water, see what comes back, see what mindset people are in. And this person just said, yeah, it's bold as brass. Yeah, there is. There's too many people on this planet. And quite an arrogant type of attitude. I mean, how do you know? You know because the television is telling you that. Or bad actors like Attenborough, whose dad, I think it was his dad or granddad, double check, dad or granddad, was one of the co-founders of the British Eugenics Society. And Attenborough has recently spoke, I think, at the Walk Festival, Glastonbury, about he feels like his time is coming to an end. I wonder if he's going to be the poster child of euthanasia. Did I say eugenics or euthanasia? I meant euthanasia. His dad or granddad is one of the co-founders of the UK Euthanasia Society. I wonder if he's going to be the poster boy, because the woke crowd love him. People just lap up what he says without question. And every movement needs a poster. That's my prediction. So yeah, this person just said, yeah, there is too many people on this planet, and I just thought, that's BS. I didn't say anything because that's not the battle I'm trying to fight. And sometimes you just know it's futile as well. And the conversation there, I could tell that there's a certain type of people where they haven't got the attention span for a conversation of this nature. It would move on. It would just die. Anyway, but what's my point? My point is, this person, to my knowledge, is, on the face of it, you would expect them to be quite libertarian and, each to their own, live and let live, that sort of mentality, non-judgmentals, working class, come from working class stock, not had, a silver spoon life, not judgmental, and I was surprised. Nothing should surprise us anymore, but I was just surprised that they said this, and it just made us think. It's like you're going to be one. You're adopting their mindset. The mindset is, right, for a start, there's not too many people on the planet. The planet, if utilised properly, and if we weren't such a fucking bunch of greedy bastards, then the planet could sustain easily 2, 3, 4 times as many people as what is currently on it. People are kept in poverty, famines, disease. It's all by design. Anyway, so what these elitists, these dark occultists, have got the elitists thinking is that, and we're going through the 4th industrial revolution, and every time you go through an industrial revolution, there's too many people on the planet, because think about it, you don't need the workforce anymore. If you're running a business, a factory, and you get a load of new machinery, what's the first thing you cut? Jobs, the workforce, the numbers. It's an HR exercise. So we're going through the 4th industrial revolution, and that's the real reason for the depopulation agenda, is they don't need us anymore. It's as simple as that. It doesn't need to get any more complicated than that, because it's not any more complicated than that. AI and robots are the new HR team. The resources is no longer human. So what they're going to do with us is this. They actively talk about this at the cult meetings at Davos and places like that. Yuval Harari, or whatever his name is, a complete sick Satanist who believes human evolution has come to an end and we are effectively useless. What are we going to do with all of the useless class? That's the way these people speak. You're going to feed them junk and give them video games. I think that's actually what he said. So what are they going to do with her? They're just what do you do on a farm? So that's the population agenda. That's the reason. So this person who's on board with it, it really surprised us. And this is what they've managed to do. They've managed to condition and engineer people to adopt their mindset. So we'll do it to ourselves. Like I said this the last monologue. Do it to ourselves. It's just I mean, it's a fantastic trick that they do. It really, really is absolutely fantastic. The lambs will take themselves to the slaughter. The turkeys will vote for Christmas. And I just felt like, I don't know, you know, when you just feel deflated, you just realise what you're up against. Yeah, this is only one person, but it's. I wasn't expecting this person to have that mindset, and I'm just thinking, we're fucked. There was other people there who at this event who have been taking these weight loss jabs, lathering themselves with sun cream because they're shitting themselves that they're going to get skin C. It's just, they are completely indoctrinated, but they act so arrogantly, as if they know everything. Difficult being out in society.